Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with the Last Huntsman channel here, and today I'm going to do another video, but this is one unlike I've done before. It's going to be my first folder knife video, and I'm going to just kind of make a comparison video here of the Ontario Rat 1 versus the Esee Avispa. These are both very similar but yet different budget fit folder knives from both Ontario and Esee. Let's check them out. All right, so here we have the Ontario Rat 1 and the Esee Avispa. Now, I'm going to have a caveat right off the bat here. I think both of these knives are actually really great knives, and I actually think that for the money, which I've generally found them for sub $50, these are awesome knives. They're going to serve you well for an EDC, everyday carry folder knife, if that's what you're wanting, for, not a expensive price for either one of these. I've found that they're both about the same cost. Now, something that they both also share in common is they're both Taiwanese produced D2 steel, which I actually think is a pretty solid choice for a folder. It's not, a super steel by no means, but it is fairly easy to resharpen and has some decent corrosion resistance. Now let's talk about where they're different. The Ontario obviously is a liner lock, and the blade profile is a little different. And I will be talking about one advantage I like about the blade on it. The Esee Avispa is a frame lock and just has a slab of G10 on the other side here. And as you can see, the blade profiles are a little different. The Esee kind of has just a little bit broader blade with a little bit more kind of almost a slight Kepart looking style blade on it. All right, so another thing I'm gonna just kind of talk about with both the Ontario Rat 1 and the Esee Avispa is, I will say the Ontario Rat 1, when I just do my like ninja death grip on it and just hold on to it for a while, it is a little bit more comfortable in hand, which to me that's not a make or break with a folding knife, because I just use folding knives on a pretty limited basis. It's if I'm going to be using it for a prolonged basis, as I'm going to generally grab something that's a fixed blade anyways. However, it does kind of, you can definitely feel a difference. Esee Avispa, as you can tell, is quite a bit slimmer than the Ontario, which is kind of nice in your pocket. However, when you kind of grip onto it, it doesn't feel the hand as well, and that G10 there along this inner edge sometimes kind of can be a little on the sharp side. So it's not bad. You might even just take some sandpaper and just kind of tone it down a little bit. But overall, both are pretty good. But ergonomically, I will have to give it to the Ontario Rat 1. All right, so another task I'm going to put both of these knives through is just a little bit of food prep type of stuff. Now generally with me, I like to, when I get a folder knife, I've gotten to where I like a full flat grind, just because it's kind of nice to just have that slicing ability with something in your pocket if need be. I just got an apple. Well, I'm just going to try to slice through. The Ontario did pretty decent. And try out the Esee Avispa. I will say that little bit broader blade on the Avispa actually is kind of going through this apple a little better than the Ontario did. So that's something to take note on too, is this one's just a little bit more slicey as far as food prep type stuff goes. All right, so another thing to take note on with the Ontario Rat 1 versus the Esee Avispa is, from my own experience here, and this can vary quite a bit, but I have been finding that the Ontario Rat 1 actually is a lot easier to flick open. The Esee Avispa, though I can do it, I have to put quite a bit more force into it to get it to open. Now, a little caveat here, the Esee Avispa is a little bit newer than my Ontario Rat 1. However, I've been using the Esee Avispa quite a bit, and it still feels just a little bit tighter. And it's not like game changing, but it is a little bit stiffer to open up. All right, something else to kind of take note on too is, while I pointed out that the Esee Avispa is considerably thinner than the Ontario Rat 1, another thing to kind of take note on though is it is just a tad bit wider, so it is gonna kind of have a slightly wider profile in your pocket. And speaking of pocket, I have the Ontario Rat 1 in my pocket now. Fits in pretty deep. They both kind of have about the same profile as far as sticking out of your pocket once it's in there. It is a little bit noticeable to notice how thin the Esee Avispa is, but it does make a little bit wider of an impact. So that's just something else to take note on. All right, so one thing that's a major selling point, at least for me, with the Ontario Rat 1 over the Avispa is, more often than not, I'm always carrying a fixed blade, whether it's a smaller EDC fixed blade or a medium size, fixed blade. But that being said, not all my fixed blades has a sharp 90-degree spine, and the Ontario Rat 1 actually does have a fairly sharp 90-degree spine. So if I'm out in the woods or anything and I just happen to not have something to strike a ferro rod, my Ontario Rat 1 will do that all day, versus the Esee Avispa won't. So I think that's kind of a big miss on the Esee Avispa. All right, so as I said earlier, the Ontario Rat 1 has a liner lock versus the Esee Avispa has a frame lock. Now, generally most people would say that the frame lock is going to be a little bit more stronger, from my kind of general consensus, than the liner lock. However, I haven't really found that either of these blades has any too much wobbling or anything like that. Now mind you, these are also sub $50 folder knives, so they're not going to be perfect, but there's just a little bit more play in the Ontario than the Esee Avispa. So that's something to take note on there as well. Well, my friends, I'm going to wrap up this kind of review / comparison video of both the Esee Avispa and the Ontario Rat 1. Let me know in the comments which one would you actually pick. I'm not really going to say which one. I think they're both great. I think they both have pros. I think they both have cons. But just let me know which one you would pick. With all that being said, be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless, and carry on.